Oh, yes.
At Naguru.
The vehicle. So
Okay. Now Counsel.
I would prefer that I give you my full story, the way I have it, and then you do follow-up questions.
Okay. Okay, fine. We can start with the names and then we...
I'm sure you have my names.
Okay, fine. I have them on the card.
Yes, you have my name.
Severino only.
Twinobusingye. You have now every detail.
Fine.
Yes.
So how shall we, but we shall address you as Minamateka. That's what we normally do.
Yes,
because
I'm an advocate.
you have many titles.
I'm an advocate.
Yes.
That's the reason I'm here now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now, if you can tell us what really transpired on the 29th of April 2024, where Bishop is mentioned in an accident that happened at Babumbi, Nakasaja, where he knocked one Jamil Ssetimba, who is now in bad condition and who needs some help, where he says that the bishop pledged to help him with total treatment, total-wise. I mean, like, until nowhere to be seen, and he's not yet fine.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Twinobusingye Severino. I'm an advocate, and I represent Bishop Dominic Eibu in this case. And also, by implication, I represent the Diocese of Kotido, the registered trustees of Kotido Catholic Diocese in this case. We watched the news that you aired on television, I think 2 days ago, yes, where it is alleged that the bishop knocked one Ssetimba, Jamil. Yes. The entire news that was aired from the background of the story that Ssetimba aired was totally false, from the beginning to the end. From the beginning to the end. And I wouldn't have come to the television station to give an interview to explain, because this matter is at police. It is undergoing police investigations. But I got clearance from police so that I could come here to speak to the issues that have been raised. There is a gentleman called Ssetimba Jamil. On 29th of April this year at 6:30 p.m., the Bishop of Kotido Catholic Diocese was driving, coming to Kampala. He was coming to Kampala, and as he reached a place whose name I can't pronounce well because of language barrier, but which you mentioned, the place is bad. The place is bad, it has potholes, but he was able to see from the back of from the rear mirror, he was able to see that there was a border following him behind. The border had 2 ladies whom it was carrying, so it was carrying 3 people. 3 people on the border. They also had a luggage on the same border, and the border rider was sitting on the petrol engine of the motorcycle. So really he was in the Mahembe.
Because of the overload?
Because of the overload. He had nowhere to sit. And he also had challenges of balance. The bishop was able to see from the mirrors. And he fell in the pothole, and he could not balance his motorcycle. The bishop was far ahead, and he fell off the road, and he rolled down. So when the bishop noticed that this person had fallen and he had people, he stopped. It was getting late. He stopped his vehicle, and then he walked back to see the victims who had fallen, and he found that this Jamil was struggling down into the ditch. Jamil fell on his own because he could not control the motorcycle because it was overloaded. So what he did was that he asked the people who were there to help Jamil. And the bishop was only acting as a good Samaritan. He's a Catholic, he's a bishop, he knows, and he knows he also has a moral obligation. He has no legal duty, but just a moral obligation So he went, people got him. He could not move because he really got an injury. He was injured. Nobody else on the motorcycle was injured. He got an injury. So they lifted him and they put him in the bishop's car. This was coming close to 7. So what the bishop did was he first drove him to a nearest health unit, health center. But the health professionals advised that he could not be treated. They didn't have the facility. So they advised that either the bishop takes him to Marago Hospital or to Nagarama Hospital. They advised don't take him to Nagarama because Nagarama is very expensive. He said it's all right. I can assist him. So he took him to Nagarama Hospital. And by the time they reached Nagarama Hospital, it was around 10 in the night. Remember, they first drove far away. Then by the time they come through the jam, coming back to Nagarama, it was late. So what he did was he put the patient, this Jamil, into the hospital. The hospital administrator came with the nurses. They got him at the OPD and put him into the hospital. And they started taking care of him. The bishop informed them that he has just picked him on the road, which was true, and that he was going to take full responsibility as an act of charity to this person. He didn't know where he comes from, he never knew him, and so on. And it was also late, actually. The bishop slept in the hospital. He slept in the hospital, and the following day, he was able to continue. He was able to continue to Kampala. The bishop, as I said, did this purely as an act of charity. He did not have any legal or moral obligation to this man called Jamil. He helped him because his conscience tells him as a religious person, help those who cannot help themselves. So that is what he did. And from day one, from the 29th day evening, when he was put into the hospital, he was admitted, full admission, with medical bills and medical attendance to everything. The bill was footed by the bishop. The doctors and the nurses did the best they could to help this gentleman. They helped him, and they told him that he was supposed to be operated the following day. When the doctors came to find him on the ward on the 30th, they found him on the ward. They told him that they were going to operate him after 7 days because he was still swollen. That is a medical procedure. He was explained to. So after seventh day, they took him into the theater. They explained to him everything in great detail. He even signed a consent form for the surgery. Jamil signed a consent form to the surgery because it was a major surgery. It required bone grafting. They explained to him even where the bone was going to be gotten from. Bone grafting. I think they got the bone from the hip. That's where it was got from. He understood all those things. So he was operated and he was discharged on crutches paid by the bishop. The bishop paid in total 5,616,200 Ugandan shillings. That was the total cost for the 3 weeks he spent in the hospital.
You have some receipts?
Yes, I have it, which I'm going to avail to you. So he was able to pay all those hospital bills. Jamil does not have not even 5 cents, not for the food he ate while he was at the hospital, not for the medicine that he got, not for the operation, not for the crutches he's walking on that he could pay for himself. The bishop paid it himself out of goodwill to help the man he found on the road who was suffering. Remember, it was getting late, and the bishop saw it. So that's what he did. So after all those, after 51 days having been discharged, even in the follow-up, the reviews, he would come back to the hospital and they do reviews. All those the bishop paid. After he had gone home and having spent about 51 days, he came as an afterthought. And he walked, imagine from Nagarama, where the accident took place, he came to Natete to find a policeman, a friend of his, whom they had a discussion, and they agreed to come and open a case against the bishop. So the best way to thank the bishop for assisting him was to open a case against him and extort money from him. So that is right now the case we are facing. The person you have called Jamil, who appeared on television, is not a victim. The victim is a bishop who is now a victim of extortion. He got that accident on his own. He knows the implications of carrying 3 people on the motorcycle, a sack full of, I think, either charcoal or Irish potatoes, whatever it was, and himself driving, sitting on the petrol tank, and he knows how he felt. When he recorded the case, everybody who was there, who is responsible, has recorded the police statement. Feel free to visit Nagarama Police and find out what the statements are on the file, because investigations are going on. So he thought later on, after 51 days, that let me go back now to police to go and report. So he reported. That is the case the police are investigating now. And after doing that, you could ask yourself, the Nagarama St. Francis Hospital is next to the police. Why didn't he really go to report if the man who brought him to the hospital is the one who knocked him?
Maybe he was still cooperative.
Nowhere. Usually the police, the borders are not stupid. When you look at this gentleman called Jamil, he's not a fool. He's an enlightened person. Surely he knows what he should have done. Because he was at the ward with his wife, who was attending to him, and some other family relatives and friends who were coming to visit him. Surely he could have asked for a policeman. And sometimes the policemen come into the hospital for 1 or 2. He could have asked for one of the policemen to open a case. He waited for 51 days. After the bishop had paid all these bills, he came to Natete Police, and he came back to Nagarama to open a police case. That's one point I thought I needed to. And of course, from the investigation point of view, you would ask yourself why. Because he's not an illiterate. He knows what that means. 2, St. Francis Hospital Nagarama is next to the police oftentimes, and at that point I made it. So why couldn't he go to Nagarama and report a police case? He did not. So today as we speak, if you want to know, today as we speak, from 29th of April, it is 67 days since it happened. Ask him, has he taken his motorcycle for inspection? The police to which he ran, he never took the motorcycle for inspection. The police don't know where it is. He knows it is his obligation. They have asked him. He does not cooperate with them, but he's on television everywhere. So he, of course, understands that he went to the police because he wanted help. So why has he not cooperated with the police? Whether or not, as of today, his motorcycle has been inspected, today you can contact the police at Nagarama. What is the status of that motorcycle of his?
He mentioned about that, and
they don't know it.
Really?
They don't know.
They even gave him
a form.
Clearance
yes,
form.
but the police has never seen it.
So why did they give him the form?
So that he does it. So that he
motorcycle.
takes the motorcycle for inspection. 67 days, he has not. The bishop, if you wanted to know, took his vehicle for inspection. If you want to know, the results of the inspection are on the police file. I spoke to the police spokesperson today, Afande Patrick Onyango, because I needed to get clearance to be able to speak to the media. Because you see, what Jamil has done is an interference into the police investigations. I hope he has lawyers, and I hope they have explained to him the implications of interfering with the police investigations. Normally, cases like this are those which are neglected. But a case where the victim went to police and the police is investigating, you do not need to come in to help him because the police is doing its work.
Maybe because he was feeling neglected by the bishop.
He couldn't have been neglected because
he couldn't access him. That's
he has access to the bishop.
He doesn't have his number.
He has it. That's why I told you. That's why I told you. He has access to the bishop. The bishop has access to him. And the bishop assisted him. He knows, not that he owed him any duty of care. I can also tell you that the bishop is a very responsible person. What would it require? What would it cost the bishop if he knocks somebody to take care of him? First of all, the requirement is that you go to the police and report that I have knocked somebody. The bishop knows it. he would have done it. What does it require? If he was able to pay almost 6 million for his care, just out of goodwill, what would it have required if he wanted to give him? It is not that the bishop doesn't have money. Certainly he has the money. But that's not the issue. He helped this man in his state of need. And 51 days later, when the police are the ones who went to look for him from Kotido, he didn't have any obligation to go and report to any police because he was not involved in an accident. The police called him from Kotido. 51 days after the accident, he drove himself with the very car that is in issue. He came to Nagaram police, he recorded a statement, he explained his statement is on the police, and he offered his vehicle, he handed it over for inspection the way he was required by the police. He followed everything that is required. If he was somebody else, surely he wouldn't have come up. And even where the accident occurred, it is not even visible on the CCTV camera. He would have disappeared if he wanted. But he came because he is a law-abiding citizen. He has nothing to hide. He has nothing to fear. He brought this man, he put him in his car. Even him, the bishop, slept in the hospital because it was late. He couldn't continue to Kampala. There was nothing to hide. Everything is in the open. So when Jamil tells you that the bishop is not possible, is not seen, it's not true, because he knows the name of the bishop. The bishop told him, I am Bishop Dominic Eibu.
Yes,
he told him.
He introduced himself.
Yes, he said, I feel sympathetic that you are in this situation. Can I help you? He said, yes. Let me take you to the hospital and I will assist you. That's all that he did. You find somebody, if you find somebody has gotten involved, you say, sorry, what happened? That is what the bishop said. So if we understood that to mean that he meant that he was apologizing, I'm afraid. Because there were people. There were people in the cars, in the bishop's car. Yes. And secondly, the bishop couldn't have knocked the man. You drive the car. You are somewhere there in front, and the person is there. How does the person say that you knocked him when you are so many meters away from each other? No, the story that he is telling you is completely upside down. It was an afterthought, and I think he's looking for money from some innocent bystander who helped him, and now he's trying to take advantage of him because he's a big person. He thinks when he appears on television, the bishop is going to get worried. You get worried if you're in the wrong. Yes, that's why I have come to clarify. I wouldn't have come because the police investigations are coming. But he came. And any television and any channel on which he appears to do all this, we shall give the same explanation. Not because we are fighting anything, but because you must have a balanced story.
So
yes.
Why would you think, like, ambition?
The
bishop was behind and then his car came and knocked him on here?
It made up. First of all, the bishop was not near him. The bishop was in the front. This man's motorcycle was behind. That is why he was able to see him from the rear mirror. If the bishop was to knock, he would have knocked the first person on the motorcycle who is behind, not the person who is sitting on top of the petrol engine of the motorcycle. If you construct the scene of crime, because criminal law is technical. So if a crime has happened, where was the first point of impact? The first point of impact should have been on the lady who was the last person behind, where he knocked. Not on the Mayembe in front. That's not how it could have happened. Even technically, you can't reconstruct it and it works that way. Two, the people you are talking to have been hired because we also know the person who is behind this story. Yes, there is a criminal, a hardcore criminal, who normally operates around Nagarama Hospital. And he goes into the hospital to visit patients, to work out certain things, and to begin taking advantage of whoever has been happening. So this person found him at the ward. That one we know it. How they agreed, how much they would share when the bishop has been put into this situation, this one we know. And we are following up this person as well. He was not trying to overtake because the bishop was not near him. The bishop came driving. The road is bad, and the bishop was driving between 10 and 5 kilometers per hour. That is not a speed at which you can knock somebody on the road. It is too bumpy.
It was too speedy.
No, again, that is false. The road is bad, you can't drive at that speed. The bishop was driving between 5 and 10 and very slow. He went through, but this guy who came running behind fell into it, and he could not control the motorcycle, and he fell on his own. And nobody else was injured except him. The other ladies were not injured. The motorcycle was removed and they went with it. At this moment, you don't even know whose motorcycle it is. You don't even know why it is hidden from the police. I think they know. After the investigations, they know where the whole trend is going. Because you see, under the Police Act, it is a crime to give false information to police. And I think this is why they are hiding the motorcycle. Because they will impound it. He's also on clutches. If it was not his, he knows that he has consequences to that. But even then, having reported to the police, he's really in a trap. Because taking yourself to police and providing false information is a crime. And it's not a simple crime. 2, there is a case of conspiracy to defraud the bishop, conspiracy to commit a felony, which I have told you about this hardcore criminal who is working with him, who has been helping him, saying that this man is a bishop, he has money, let's get money from him to help you take care of your children and so on. You will give me a cut out of it.
Children or
all treatment? That, whatever it is. Treatment is not an issue because treatment was paid for and he has been going for review. He's just waiting to recover. How
would someone get an accident and then the 3 people don't get injured? And
on the motorcycle. So why were they all injured?
No, I am just thinking.
Yes, really, that is him now. That is him.
He just knocked himself or he got an accident.
Yeah, because the accident was his legs were twisted into the front part of the motorcycle.
And that's how something knocked him like this.
But also the place where they fell is bad. Remember,
it is only 1 knee that gets injured.
Yes, it can even be 2, it can even be none, depending on how you fall. It's a question of impact. Because he is in the mahembe of the motorcycle, it is up, there is a cliff, and that is how he falls. And because he is sitting on his legs are basically near the front tire, and they are on the petrol tank. He's really part of the mahembe. That is how he gets himself cornered.
Why not 2 legs, for example?
I don't know, but it all depends on what happened to him when he started falling. Because when you fall, there is a temptation to try to run away, and I think that is how the other leg survived. But that is something he can explain himself. That's something he can, because the machine or the motorcycle is the one which crushed because he fell on it. That's how he got injured. And 2, not the bump of the car. The bump of the car.
The bishop car has a bumper? Does it have a bumper? Guard, not bumper, guard.
A guard.
Yes,
but even if it was a guard, a car in front of you can't knock you when you are following it, unless you knock it yourself.
I know.
Yes, but 2, yes, he was behind. That is true. The bishop saw him from a distance, from the rear mirror, that there was somebody who was having challenges behind, because he was having challenges of balancing. Remember, there are 3 people on the motorcycle. He's seated on the tank, and they have another huge luggage on the car. That is how he gets into these problems. And I think now the reason why he has not presented the motorcycle is because he's aware now he has traffic offenses he has to respond to. Yes. Why was he having all that thing on the motorcycle? So that is entitled a traffic offense. Yes. Where is his license? Does he have a riding license?
We are not interested.
So I think the reason why he is running away from the police now and coming to television is because he's trying to look for sympathy.
He's looking for help, for treatment.
He's looking for help. He's looking for sympathy. That's not how the law works. Yes. The bishop had not refused to pay.
So was the bishop still willing to help him up to when he gets okay?
The bishop told him, just go to the hospital, remain in the hospital. He told the hospital, remain in the hospital and you'll be treated until you are okay. And the bishop was not telling them stop. He just came and he said, how much money is the bill? They said it is 5.6 million. Get.
So
and he got.
He's not yet okay. Can he go back to the hospital?
Not at this juncture.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
In fact, let me not say that. Yes. Yes. Right. This is not how you reward the people who assist you in the time of need. This is not how you do it. The bishop, as I have told you, did not have any duty of care to this man. He would have continued. He saw them after they were far away, he would have continued. But he was late and he noticed that there were people on the motorcycle behind him who were having difficulty because it was overloaded and they fell into that thing. So he stopped with the nuns. He had nuns in the...
says that
yes.
They reached a certain time. And
that is...
They even transferred him from the private wing to the kind of general
On the night
Because
when he reached
money-
the, on the night
bill
when,
was raising, he didn't
no,
have money, and
that's
the
not
bishop
true.
was nowhere.
On the night when he reached, he was received at the OPD and taken into as an emergency. Okay? He was given a private room
Yes, he says that.
because there was no space on the ward at the time when he reached. So they gave him a private room, and the bishop told them, treat until the patient is okay and give me the bill.
So why did they discharge him when he wasn't okay?
He was discharged when he was okay.
Really? When
Yes.
he still has some metals in
No,
his
no,
brain
no,
and
no,
he's
no.
still having
He
pain?
was discharged and taken, and he had to continue for review. He was in the hospital on admission for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And they discharged him upon seeing that he had, that was a hospital
It's a
decision.
law, he can
It
come
was a
for
hospital decision, not because of money. Because money was not the issue. Yes.
So now he has destroyed everything.
He has
And
destroyed his
went
relationship.
from the-
He has destroyed his relationship. If it was you, what would you
He's
do?
not happy. He's just desperate.
I'm
for
afraid,
treatment.
let's not go into that conversation.
Counsel.
Because right now the bishop is facing charges, criminal charges. Yes.
No.
That is why he opened the case. He opened the police case. I can tell you it is traffic. The police case at Nagarama is, okay, he has a file. I don't have the reference
Against the
number.
man?
He has a file. There is a file which he opened. He opened the case against the bishop personally.
Yeah.
Yes. So the bishop is facing criminal investigations. And the bishop has fully subjected. The bishop has the bishop has fully subjected himself to the law process. So it will take its course.
So now it's under.
That's why I told you that I had to talk to the police spokesman for clearance before I can speak to you, because the matter is under police investigation. So it was only until the police cleared me that I had to come and respond specifically. I have not talked about everything. I have just chosen what to speak to,
So
because that's what he said. He said the bishop disappeared, the bishop didn't pay, all those are false. He's saying they discharged him before he was okay. That's also not correct, because there's a medical record at police. I have told you, whoever was involved in this man's case, the surgeon, the hospital administration, the nurses who were taking care of him, the bills are all on the file in police, because it is under police investigation to verify whether what he has said is true or not. And I am sure the reason why he has not brought his 67 days later after the accident, he has not brought his motorcycle out for the police to see, shows you that there's some cigarettes he is hiding.
He can't move.
How did he come to you?
No, we went to his home.
How did he come here to Kampala
Our
to report?
number, he stays in Kawempe. When they discharged him, his home is in Kawempe. He's renting.
Yes, but we were with him at the police. How did he go there if he can't move? It's not correct also. Yes,
But
he was
he's not
given.
in clutches.
He was
doesn't have
given.
any
The
cash.
doctors gave him strict instructions. The doctors gave him strict instructions on how to conduct himself. If he is not moving, it is because the doctors instructed him on what
They
to do.
told him not to press his
Yes.
leg down for
Yes.
3 months.
Yes, that's what they told him. He knows it very well. Yes,
But he had to go back for review. He didn't have money.
no problem. He didn't have money. The bishop has paid for the reviews that he did.
Transport.
That's not the bishop's obligation. Right now, the bishop is a suspect. I chose by him to thank him for so much that he did for him without any responsibility.
So what next now?
It is up to him. For us, what next is the law to take its course. I think let's give police the chance to finish the criminal investigations, the case he has reported himself.
Yeah, because they say they are still investigating.
Yes, they are still investigating. Let the police investigate. Let him take care of himself.
Okay.
The bishop did the best he did, and that is how he rewarded him.
Steve, some more cutaways.
That's how he rewarded the bishop. For the good work of charity the bishop did for him without any duty of care. Taking him and reporting him to police is the best way. He thanked him. No.
You know, maybe you've not been in a desperate situation.
No.
And of course with pain.
When you are desperate, if he was under,
But the bishop didn't give him his contact, he says.
he knew where to ask.
He asked and they refused to.
No.
give it. You remember you told
How
me
did
differently, I
they?
asked
How
him.
did they get to the bishop in Kotido?
Oh, police.
Yes.
The police can get contacts everywhere.
No.
Remember,
bishop...
I told you I also talked to that person I gave you at the hospital. She was like, no,
Susan,
I can't give you the bishop.
as those details, that was enough. You can't fail to find a bishop. He's not an ordinary person like you and me. For you can disappear, in fact. But a bishop cannot. Jamil Ssetimba is an adult. He can't tell you that he didn't know how to find where the bishop is. 51 days. It's an afterthought. He knows his game plan. He knows how it will end. But I think what he might be seeing now is what he did not anticipate. That's why he has run to the television. We also know how criminals work. We would also like you to go and talk to the hospital administration.
Counsel, we will not go too far like that. As we are, like I told you, we are looking at balancing. Like, we cannot do stories that are not balanced.
Then talk